Our next speaker tonight is Secretary of District 1 of the Florida Department of Transportation, LK Nandam. LK has been serving as District Secretary since November of 2016. Prior to that, he served as Director of Operations and District Traffic Operations Engineer for a number of years. He's previously served in other positions, including at the local government level and with a private sector engineering firm. District 1 represents 12 counties in southwestern Florida. LK has a master's in transportation engineering from Wayne State University and a Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering from Ananda University. Did I say that right? Yeah. Close? Okay, good. LK is a registered professional engineer in Florida and is an active member of the Institute of Transportation Engineers. Thank you very much.
Great, Pauline. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, so you plan a trip, and then you start driving down. You time everything, and then something happens. Major crash on Fruitville Road. The road is closed, then you got a detour and then come running in here. So I'm catching my breath. All right, so my name is LK Nandam. I go by initials LK because my first name, thanks to my dad, is Ye Long. Okay? So I go by LK. Everybody knows me by LK. And I've taken the district secretary role about 1.5 years ago. And you know, it's funny because you ask your folks to put a presentation together, and then they put the presentation together and then put the notes, right? You got to be really careful about what they put in the notes because you don't want to read off the notes because what they said is, you are the district secretary, but that doesn't mean that you do all the typing and you don't do the appointment scheduling. Bummer. That's what they put in here. so funny joke. Now let me talk about FDOT a little bit. You know, Department of Transportation is pretty big because we got 67 counties to deal with. So the department is divided into 7 districts. So each district handles a particular region. District 1 handles the southwest Florida area, which actually includes Polk County, and then comes down south of Hillsborough County from Manatee County all the way down. So we pretty much cover all the state highway system in the southwest Florida area. FDOT's vision is congestion-free and fatality-free system. In fact, as part of our performance measures that we needed to adopt, for Federal Highway Administration to qualify for federal funds, we actually adopted 0 fatalities as our goal. Okay? For that, there's got to be some principal changes in thought process that we needed to include. And the presentation that you're going to see is going to be one of those policies that we adopted for alternative intersection control, which is roundabouts. And Dave kind of talked about roundabouts. And the reason we actually are promoting roundabouts is it is one intersection control that has proven to reduce fatal crashes by 90%. Fatal and severe injury crashes by 90%. Which other treatment would you have that kind of a number? I actually was in a subcommittee meeting in Washington with the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, and Minnesota did a commercial on their safety program, their Vision Zero program. Part of the commercial is they went around asking people about how many fatalities is too many for you, right? and you know, people, they throw out different numbers, 20, 10, 50, and then they change the question to the same people saying, how many fatalities in your family is good for you? They say 0. That's why at the department we're taking safety very seriously. And that's one of the reasons we are promoting roundabouts as an alternative intersection control where it's appropriate. The other thing that we have done as a culture shift is complete streets. We adopted a complete streets policy. And the reason we adopted complete streets policy is it's very, very important to mix transportation with land use. The right facility for the right place. In simple terms, you got to treat your transportation facility to fit the land use so that it's actually blends with the community. And that's one of the reasons why we actually partnered with City of Sarasota through their Bayfront Connectivity Study. About 8 years ago, I think, Alex, right? The city embarked on the Bayfront Connectivity Study, which actually identified a change in character for this area to connect the downtown with the Bayfront. We partnered, we were a stakeholder in the conversations, and we supported that. And one of the things that we recommended is, to make this a successful implementation, why don't we go in a phased approach? So the City Commission talked about it, and they came up with a phased approach of what they would like to see. And that's what I'm going to share today as it relates to the different projects that we have going on. Before I go into the presentation, I want to talk about our process, right? It's a very lengthy process. Our project life cycle actually starts with a planning phase. The planning phase was done with the Bayfront Connectivity Study. Then we go into what we call a project development phase, which actually looks at traffic projections, what the actual geometry for the improvement should be, and it looks at environmental impacts, looks at right-of-way impacts, looks at what the cost of the improvement is, and finalizes the concept. Okay. We do a series of public workshops, we take into account public input, and we do a final public hearing before we adopt a particular treatment for a project. And then we go into a design phase. The design actually goes into intricate details of all the designs that are associated with the improvement, which actually identifies what the right-of-way impacts are. We go through right-of-way procurement, and then we go into construction. We hire a contractor to construct the improvement. Okay, you guys follow? All right. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to start going through the various projects that we are pursuing in partnership with the city and the MPO, starting from the north side at 10th and 14th. Before I go forward, we're also pursuing a project development study at Myrtle and MLK intersections. It's underway. It's not as advanced for me to show some concepts. Okay, so I'm going to start at 10th and 14th. So the intersections that you're seeing here is at 10th and 14th. We finished the planning study, we finished the PD&E, we finished the design, we got the right-of-way, we're under construction. This particular construction project is about 2 years long. Okay, very lengthy project. However, the reason it's 2 years long is it's got a major drainage improvements that need to be done, major utility impacts, a lot of utility relocations that need to be done, and it's a very involved project from a maintenance of traffic perspective, because for roundabouts, constructing roundabouts, maintaining traffic while you're constructing is a very difficult endeavor. We really cannot close US 41 to build these roundabouts, so it's a very lengthy process to construct these roundabouts. Okay. Okay. The other thing that I want to mention is there were some concerns about pedestrian crossings. Okay? We've actually talked about what the pedestrian crossing treatments were going to be during the project development stage and the design stage, and we're going to be meeting those particular expectations. We're going to live by those commitments. Okay? So at 10th Street, all 4 crosswalks are going to have what we call hybrid beacon treatment. Okay? And on 10th Street itself, there's a mid-block crossing connecting these condominiums to the public side, and that one also is going to have the same type of treatment.
Say it again, what is it?
Hybrid beacon. Hybrid beacon.
What is beacon?
Yeah, beacon. I have a video on what it is like and how it's going to operate. It's in the middle of a full-blown traffic signal to a flashing beacon. It provides adequate protection for pedestrians, and you'll see that in the later part of the presentation. And at 14th Street, there's going to be hybrid beacons with the pedestrian crossings across 41, but across 14th Street, we're not going to have any treatment because they're single-lane crossings. We don't need any treatment for those crossings. Okay. Next intersection is going to the south. It's US 41 at Fruitville Road. We are in the process of preparing a PD&E study or project development study, like I mentioned. We held the public hearing on October 26th. What it means is we're about the end of the project development environmental study, okay? And we are also in the process of working with the Quaid folks on the other side who are actually preparing the design plans, okay? And are working in partnership with the city and the state to build that particular roundabout through a permit. That means we will give a permit to the private entity and they will build the roundabout when schedules allow. Okay? This particular roundabout, Quay is on this side, Fruitville Road, I'm sorry. That's Quay, that's Fruitville, and that's US 41. Okay? This particular location is the mid-block crossing right across First Street. As part of the resurfacing project that's ongoing, we've done a study to determine what the pedestrian demand is crossing at that location, and we found that that particular crossing demand is pretty heavy. So we came up with a plan to install the pedestrian crossing at that location with the resurfacing project, and this particular crossing with the hybrid beacon treatment is going to be installed in the next 4 weeks. Okay, so sometime April 2nd week, 3rd week, within that time frame, the crosswalk is going to be installed. Right, Albert? Yep. Okay. This particular location is at Gulfstream. So this is Gulfstream. I think we are about here, and that's 41. Okay. There was, our original concept actually included a 4th leg coming from this side, but based on the input that we received from the condominium residents in this area, we re-evaluated and had conversations with the city and went back to the configuration that we currently have. So this roundabout is going to be a 3-leg roundabout with just this movement, which will actually allow for folks to go through, which is what we currently have. Okay? So the public information meeting is actually going to be held on March 27th, okay? And the PD&E phase is going to be completed, which is the project development phase, is going to be completed by summer 2018, which is this year. And the design is ongoing. Our plan is to complete the design by summer 2019, within a year from now. And then we're working on a funding plan with the city to make sure that construction funding is going to be available so we can go for construction towards or let a contract towards the end of the year. Okay, that conversations are still ongoing. This particular project, we just finished a workshop, which is Main Street and Ringling. We're actually handling this particular 2 intersections as part of one project, like 10th and 14th, because of their proximity. And we have a project development study ongoing. We had a workshop on December of last year, and we will be going through this process, and the public hearing is tentatively scheduled for spring of next year. Okay? Now, when so much activity is happening within a small area, public information becomes a very critical component. So what we have is throughout the projects, as we go through these cycles, we are holding public information meetings and we're holding public hearing through the PD&E, through the design phase, and even in construction they're going to do that. If you actually want to get more details about these projects, you can visit our website, which is www.southwestfloridaroads.com, and you can look for projects that are under construction. You'll get details about 10th and 14th Street, and you can look for other projects, and you will get information about other roundabout projects that are in progress. You'll get all the information there. Now, I talked about the hybrid beacon, right? So we got a small video. Hopefully it will work. All right, let me figure this out.
There you go.
There you go.
Roundabouts are known to reduce speeds along the corridor and improve pedestrian accommodations. However, for multi-lane roundabouts, a pedestrian-activated warning device is sometimes needed to ensure that motorists are aware of pedestrians in the crosswalk. This type of warning device is commonly referred to as a pedestrian hybrid beacon. A pedestrian hybrid beacon helps to ensure the safety of pedestrians and minimize traffic delays since they are only activated when a pedestrian pushes the button to cross. This signal is made up of 3 lights, 2 red lights located above a single yellow light. If you are a motorist approaching a crosswalk controlled by a pedestrian hybrid beacon, then here's what you need to know. If the light is in the off position, then continue to proceed as normal, but remember to yield to traffic inside of the roundabout. If the light is flashing yellow, then slow down as a pedestrian has pushed the button. You can still proceed through the crosswalk as normal. When the light turns solid yellow, then this is a warning that the light is about to turn red. Be prepared to stop. When the light is solid red, then you must stop to allow pedestrians to cross. Afterwards, the light will begin to flash red. This means you must stop, but can proceed if the crosswalk is clear. The light will then go back to the off position until activated again. Remember, a yellow light is a warning that the light is about to turn red. A solid red light means you must stop. And a flashing red light means you must stop, but can proceed if the crosswalk is clear. For pedestrians, it's much like a crosswalk at a regular signalized intersection. First, press the button and wait for the signal to softly cross. Don't cross if you see the solid red hand, and only start to cross when indicated to do so. Make sure to stay alert to traffic and stay within the marked crosswalk. For roundabouts, a pedestrian hybrid beacon only stops one direction of travel at a time. When you reach the median, press the button again to activate the pedestrian signal to safely cross to the other side of the roadway.
I hope that video is clear, because there's another slide which actually goes through the different steps, and I'm not going to go through that. All right, that's the slide. Okay, so not only project-specific information, we also have generic roundabout information that we developed, which actually talks about how to use a roundabout, a single-lane roundabout, multi-lane roundabouts, different videos for different aspects of the roundabout treatment, like how should pedestrians use the roundabout, bicyclists use the roundabout, drivers use the roundabout. And it talks about how trucks are accommodated in roundabouts. Everything is included in that particular website. So if you're interested, go on to southwestfloridaroads.com. We also realized that since we started construction at 10th and 14th, and we are going forward with the different locations, we will be developing an outreach campaign where we will be individually coming to the different condominiums and making presentations. We'll be working with the city to go do that, because the key is we want you all educated on how to safely cross the roundabouts, okay? But at the same time, we're going to use the press to educate others, the motorists, on how to use roundabouts, so that we can get everybody educated on using roundabouts, okay? The next item that I wanted to talk about is the Sarasota-Manatee Barrier Island Traffic Study. Quickly, this was supposed to be, MBO requested us to perform this study and to look at measures to manage congestion on the barrier island and see if we can come up with improvements, short-term and long-term improvements to address congestion on the barrier island side. So this particular study was supposed to be a 3-phase study. First phase is doing a planning level analysis, looking at existing studies with the recommendations, and then do a data collection and analysis to identify short-term, long-term improvements. And the phase 3 is to basically vet those particular improvements that came about and then look at an implementation plan. That's the plan. We're at phase 2 of the study where we are developing recommendations. And that's all I got. Thank you.